Hello, everyone, and welcome to another seminar or webinar provided by Find Center to help everyone here to recenter themselves. It's been a hectic year, a heavy year to say the least, and we are inching towards the holiday season and a season to, yes, a celebration, but also can be has its own heaviness with the increase of COVID cases and sometimes the charge of the busyness of family and friends and cooking and all of these things. But then also, how do we enter the season from a time of like fullness, so we can give and take and give and take love as a beautiful dance. For those who know me, I'm Zainab Salbi. I'm the Chief Awareness Officer of Find Center, a platform that aggregates and curates wisdom of all time from different traditions, different thought leaders, different parts of the world in one place to make it easily accessible in a safe, loving, and a communal way for anybody who is seeking to either work on themselves for their own healing or for their own development, to find different paths towards finding our own heart center, to simply recentering ourselves after finding it. What I get excited the most about Find Center, among many other things, is that it's provide me that space at night, in a lonely time, in a night or in a fatigue moment, to go and just find all the information out there in a trusting way and knowing that I'm not alone. And what excites me is that that it doesn't say only if you do this you will be okay. It says here's a spectrum of all that has been written and said and talked about your issue, whatever it is, be it anxiety or be it deepening the joy. It's all the human emotions. So I do hope you visit it. That's the only thing we're asking of you today, is visit it, check it out, spread the word, share it with your friends and your community and with your clients, and, help us make this offering, this free offering, not the webinar, but Find Center itself, more easily accessible and available to everyone in the world who is looking for their healing and spiritual health, as we call it. And before I introduce our next speaker, which I am so excited about, I have two things to share. One is a housekeeping. This webinar is going to be recorded and will be sent to you after that to check it out at your leisure again. And then the second thing is I am going to share a Rumi poem. And Rumi is a 13th century Sufi poet that I happen to love, and you can find a lot of his poetry on Find Center, actually. And before I hand it over to our speaker, Ruth King, I'll share with you that poem this is my personal prayers and wishes for all of you as we embark on a weekend and the end of the week. And it's called The Dance When You Are Broken Open. Dance when you tore the bandage off. Dance in the battlefield. Dance when you are in your blood. Dance when you are completely, completely free. So as I hand it over to Ruth, our speaker, Ruth King, who is a celebrated author, educator, and mindfulness meditation teacher, and who is the founder of the Mindful of Race Institute, an organization advancing racial awareness and leadership through mindfulness-based education and group development programs. I hand it over not only with trust and with love, but also with all my wishes to dance throughout all the emotions that may surface and in all of these formations, and to dance throughout your weekend and throughout the rest of your holiday. And thank you all for joining us, and I hope you enjoy this offering by Find Center. Thank you. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thanks to all of you that are joining us today, the last day in this series. I've been able to participate in a couple of the previous sessions, and I was just sharing earlier that it feels like this series this week um, is kind of a visible, um, alive expression of what the Fine Center really represents on its pages, on its site. So it's been a generous week. It's been abundant with very rich, uh, spiritually wealthy offerings from the teachers this week. And my prayer today is that we can um, do a bit of integrating, absorbing, settling, savoring some of what we've received in a full way, a full bodied way, and just settle together as we explore um, compassion as a mindfulness meditation practice for us, especially in these challenging times. It's been a really intense week and a very intense year, and a few years actually. The soup, the atmosphere that we're living in, that we're navigating, the extremes, the surprises, the oops, the ouches, that we're all kind of swimming in, have been things that we feel. And as providers of care, we hold a particular seat in this at this current time of holding space, of holding sacred space, holding a ground, recognizing that what we bring actually um, serves, and the weight of it at this time is something that we feel within ourselves. Um, and because my work centers around racial awareness, as practitioners, as people that are in the serving industry, the health and healing industry, in the industries where um, people are entrusting their tenderness, their vulnerability, their confusion with you, then we're challenged, especially around matters of race, to wake up and to know deeply what we bring and also how we show up, what we're vibrating out, and to really be curious about how we're impacting the people that we care about, whether consciously, unconsciously. You know, we want to be curious and open to creating a field that supports people to soften and trust us. I often ask myself a few questions. It's like, why are matters of race still matters of concern? What does that have to do with me? And why should people trust me? Why should people trust me with their vulnerability? What's that about? Sometimes we may not pause with that question, but I think it's a worthy question. It's a question, these questions are things that invite us to drop in, to turn our attention inward and also drop our awareness down through the body. So we're really asking the body and the heart these questions, not just the mind. Um, and it's an important recurring question. It's not like a question we ask once and we're done with it. Like we take a class over here on race or racism and we're done with it. But that we are in a continuous ripening of our awareness and our impact as providers, as service providers. We're intimately aware of the field we're creating when we do what we do around race and its continuation and its interruption. So, I want to talk about how mindfulness meditation, and in particular, compassion, I want to offer a practice for us to go through uh, so that we can look very tenderly at our own um, conditioning, and comfort, be in the practice of comforting ourselves. Um, there's some questions that a lot of people that I serve ask that it wouldn't surprise me if you're not also asking as we think about the racial realities that are inflamed um, and in some ways metastasized in a lot of our social fabric. And some of these questions are, as practitioners, how do I work with my thoughts, fears, and beliefs in ways that nurture the dignity of all races? So, how do I put myself in check as how am I aware of myself so that I can nurture the dignity of all races? How do I comfort my own raging heart in a sea of racial ignorance and violence? How do I stay grounded? How do I self soothe? How do I nurture a deeper truth instead of the reactivity stimulus that we're oftentimes bathed in? How can my actions reflect the world I want to live in and leave to future generations? It's another common question. How do I hold space or advocate for racial justice without causing harm and hate? And that's both internally toward myself, externally in the work and the service that I do. And again, why should people trust me when it comes to matters of race and racism? Why should people bring this particular complexity to you? Um, is this a safe place? And if so, how do you know that? How do you know that you are a safe place? How um, is the practice of you knowing yourself as a racial being with impact in the world? Is that kind of inquiry purified or being purified in a way that creates a vibrational field that's not so much talked about but felt when people enter into your care, right? So I think that what has helped me over the years with some of these questions, what I know is that I can't always think myself into an understanding. Uh, the mind has some limitations in terms of what it gets to know at that level, but the heart has a deeper capacity. And when we marry these two together, and of course, heart and mind in the Buddhist tradition is the same word, right? Then what we're really examining is this kind of combination. And in my teachings is it's often spoken about as two wings of a bird. There's a wing of wisdom, there's a wing of compassion, and you need both to fly. You need both in order to have balance and to rise to a level of seeing clearly and seeing a bigger um, perspective. Um, is what that provides. So if we look at these two wings, we could say that mindfulness is the wisdom wing, and compassion, the practices of compassion, are is the other side of it. And when I say mindfulness as a wisdom wing, what I mean about mindfulness and the practice of mindfulness, the distinction of mindfulness, maybe from some other practices of awareness or meditation that are out there. Um, in my tradition of Buddhism, one of the things that's really beautiful, especially as we look at racial inner distress, is that when we are meditating in this way, we are looking at our mind and heart with an understanding of the nature of things. The nature of things being, and this is my shorthand, that what we see and what's arising in our experience, the phenomena, it's not personal, it's not permanent, and it's not perfect, right? So just an understanding that life, the life we live in an ultimate sense is a series of ever changing impersonal dynamics um, that are arising and passing away all the time. It's a good thing for me that I'm not who I was when I first woke up this morning, right? There's an element of that that is just the nature of who we are. We inhale, we exhale. You know, the things arise in the sky and they pass away. The nature of things, these bodies age. You know, we are of the nature to be ill, the nature to die, the nature to, you know, be harmed. These bodies are vulnerable. That's the truth of it, right? It doesn't mean we need to get all freaked out about it, but that's the vulnerability that we're all walking with in navigating in our lives. And compassion then becomes um, a certain kind of atmospheric quality that this is all existing within. It's like the air quality, it's like the temperature, it's the thermostat. And when compassion is ripened and it's being ripened, you know, all that arises and passes away is being held in an atmosphere of care and understanding and love, right? So we can see this dynamic when we are doing our work. What is the mood of the mind? What is the atmosphere of the heart that the horrors of life might be existing within? So, how do I create an atmosphere that can hold and keep me steady and keep my heart open in the face of all that life throws in our faces? And sometimes these things are horrible, but I've also worked with people that when they're beautiful, there's still an allergic reaction to comfort, to ease, to softness. So I'd like to just walk us through, guide us through self compassion process, because the other thing about compassion is with people like us in this field, you've heard the term compassion fatigue. You know, well, when there's compassion fatigue, that means the wing of the bird is overburdened on one side, and we have to bring in the wisdom element in order for there to be a bit of uh, of evenness or a good launch, right? So that means pausing, that means dropping in, that means giving some attention to the exhale, right? That means turning inward a bit and seeing what it's like to comfort the heart that is really holding a lot. You hold a lot in the work that you do, in the services that you provide. And oftentimes we're kind of so in service to that we forget that we're impacted by it. We forget that we're hurt by it. We forget that our hearts break. So, this session is about you receiving and you softening and resting and knowing a bit more. You probably know this already, but knowing a bit more about the care you're capable of giving to yourself. Right? I want you to taste that, to savor that, to comfort the part of you that can't fix it all. Comfort the part of you that is that sees so much, right? That you can't fix, and yet you're holding that space. How do we comfort ourselves? How do we just, you know, take care of that distress in a way that is respectful, in a way that dignifies our work, and in a way that only we can give ourselves, right? So, this is a practice of ripening our own capacity for self compassion. And when we do that, we're touching into a place of humankind where we don't need a lot of words because we're working that atmosphere, we're working a vibrational field of care, and people get that care. They get that they can trust you, they get that they can rest in your arms. Okay. So I invite you to take a position now of relaxed awareness. And for this practice, if you're in a place where you can lie on your back, wrap yourself in a blanket, sit back and feel the support in your chair, feel some sense of contact with, with what's holding you right now, I invite you to do that. And bring your awareness to connecting with your own body, connected to the chair, connected to the larger earth body. Let's feel that element of earth as you sit your bones on your seat on the earth. Just feel the earth holding you. And bring your awareness to the breath moving through your body, the breath entering and exiting. And just feel how your inhale and exhale is connecting to the larger element of air. You can just sense that connection, really taking your time here to feel yourself sitting and breathing as you connect to the earth and air element. Air moving in, air moving out, air moving through. And notice if you can just kind of recognize the experience of softening, of gentling, of settling. It's an experience. Let yourself know that on the inside. I'm inviting you to really take your time to rest and savor. And now I'd like to invite you to bring in a trio of protection to surround you. So you might imagine, for example, that there is a benefactor sitting at your back to back. Someone who is there for you, someone or some figure that provides wise guidance to you. Imagine them sitting right at your back, supporting you, feeling their support, feel that contact in your mind. And take a moment to breathe in their presence in your mind and heart to heart, just breathing that in, this wise one. And notice what happens in the body when you do that. You might reflect on a particular guidance you've received, or just the beauty of relying on wisdom in this way. You might notice internally, you might imagine them being so happy to be with you right now, to know you're doing this work. And feel your back fully supported. And to the right of you, sitting near you, really snuggled in, imagine that there's a person right to your right, somebody you deeply care about. It could be a person, it could be a pet, it could be someone in your life now, someone from your past. But just the thought of them brings you delight. Imagine them coming near you, sitting near you, snuggling in. And take a moment to just breathe in the joy of your care for them and feel them receiving this care. You might reflect a little bit or even be tickled by why you love them. And just notice what happens to both of your bodies as you embrace this care. So take a couple of more breaths here to feel yourself connected to the earth. Benefactor at your back. Beloved to your right. Breathing in the goodness, breathing in the compassion, breathing in the kindness and care. Breathing out kindness and care. It's natural as we reflect in this way that the thoughts try to ease in and take up all the space where we're thinking too much. You can just redirect your attention to the body sitting and breathing, receiving and giving. That's the priority right now. And to your left, imagine to your left that there's a younger, more innocent version of yourself is coming to join you. This part of you that maybe doesn't apologize or is spontaneous or, full of life. Part of you that makes your heart sing. See them in your mind, in your eyes, as they come and join you to your left, snuggling in. So happy to see you. So happy to be joined by the wise one, the beloved one, and your still, wise body sitting on the earth. And as you continue to take in this younger version of yourself, just imagine that they're all surrounding you with tremendous care and regard and love. And just allow every cell in your body to be bathed by their care. So happy for you. You feel the safety, the unequivocalness of this moment, the enoughness of it. You let your breath be free as it moves through your body. Continuing to notice the subtlety, the nuance of softening, opening, receiving, savoring. Breathing it all in. Exhaling grace, gratitude. And next, I invite you to invite in an aspect of yourself that needs your compassion. What part of you, when you think about your life, what you're challenged with, what you hold, what's been hardened, maybe it's the part of you that over efforts or overworks or tries. Or a part of you that might feel like you're not enough, or that you're too frightened, or you can't fix it. It's so big, it's hopeless. It's hard to bear. What part of you struggles with navigating those territories, those places in your life where you're doing what must be done and it's so difficult? Without blame, without shame, to the degree that you can, invite this aspect of yourself to join you in this circle of protection. Invite them to come right in and sit in your lap. It could be the raging one, it could be the depressed one or the sad one. And as they move close to you, notice what happens to your body. Notice what happens with your heart as you embrace them. Notice any trepidation, notice any tightening in the body or temperature changes, and then just invite the benefactor, the beloved, and the innocent one to join you in this embrace of this dear one that needs your compassion. And just take a moment to imagine that you're all breathing together in an embrace. Just take a moment to sense that on the inside. Staying connected to the earth, letting your breath be free. So I will offer a few phrases as you continue this embrace with this dear aspect of yourself that needs your compassion. You can let these statements that I'll offer flow over you, through you. Just receive whatever serves and maintain your connection with these beloveds. Imagine yourself saying to this dear one, welcome, welcome. I care, I care. Breathing into the center of your chest. You might invite this dear one to say a little bit about what they're afraid of or what they're outraged about. Just take a moment to let your entire body hear and receive this information, knowing you're supported, your back and both sides as you listen. And just know that receiving this information won't break your heart. It will open your heart. Whatever the message is, just imagine yourself saying, welcome, welcome, dear one. Don't be afraid. I will care for you. I will take care of you. I care about your suffering. I feel you. I will stay with you. I will breathe with you. For as long as it takes. May you be soothed. May you be healed. I'm sorry that you have been ignored or kept away. I can care for you right now. I may not always know how to care, but I am here for you. I will stay with you. When you, dear one, feel deep sorrow, hopelessness, and despair, I will stay with you. I will breathe with you. And when it's necessary for you to hide, I will wait for you. May you be soothed. May you be healed. And when you scream and you feel like you're on fire with rage, I will stay with you until the fires subside. And when you feel hardened and impenetrable, I will stand beside you. And when you share with me your most humiliating and murderous thoughts, I will not turn away. I will stay with you. I will breathe with you. May you be soothed. May you be healed. So take your time and repeat any of the phrases that make sense for you. Stay connected to your earth and the breath, the wise one at your back, beloved to your right, your innocence to your left, and the tender one in your lap. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in through all of your pores, the wish to be relieved from pain and suffering. Notice how this part of you that needs your compassion is changing, maybe softening, maybe more snuggling. Just take a moment to look into their eyes. Holding them before you, heart to heart. And allow this part of you to fade away, to maybe dissolve into grace. And also allow the benefactor, the beloved, the innocent one to also soften and dissolve and fade away. And notice the quality of heart and mind that remains. As you sit on the earth and breathe, dignified, well fed, and from this place of dignity, you can allow the radiance and quality of your heart and mind right now to radiate out in all directions, radiating out the goodness that you are in this moment. With a prayer, may all beings be safe from inner and outer harm. May all beings know love and know care. May all beings live with ease and inner stability and well-being. May all beings be safe from danger and harm. May all beings taste and feel the benefit of my practice, the benefit of my good intentions. May the people that I serve feel and know my love for them as an energy, as a truth deeper than words. May all beings remember that we belong to each other. And may we move toward each other with faith and kindness. May all beings be soothed. May all beings be healed. So just taking a few more breaths to offer in your own way, your own vibration, what you might want to put into the field of care that we've co-created here. And I'll leave you with a quote by the recent ancestor, Bell Hooks, who says, "What am I called to do here? I'm honored to be the vessel that allows me to speak words that lift people higher." Oh, thank you, everyone. If you could just gently just return to this space. And take a couple of deep breaths to join, reconnect with the body. And I invite you to express whatever thoughts you might have, or maybe the space you're in right now in the chat. And I can see that Caroline is saying, must I come out of this peaceful place? Yes, come back to us. Share it all in all directions. Um, I'm happy to hear from any of you that want to comment, and I invite some support, technical support, in zeroing in on any questions that might come through that I can respond to in the few minutes that we have left. So let's see, I comment, I feel so nourished, I'm so loving. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Are there any questions any of you have about, this kind of intersection of, just this capacity we're challenged with in the work that we do with navigating waters, and bringing these big hearts to play around racial distress and tension, and how we provide a sense of soothing to the harshness around race in the world. Is there any ideas that you have about how you might do that even better, given the practice that we've just experienced? Any thoughts on that? So there's a question, struggling with patience with those who think they have already arrived in understanding racial justice. Yeah, struggling with patience. I'm wondering if the patience could be turned into curiosity and maybe become a question for people, a compassionate question, a question where you ask them, it's hard because I don't know what the specific situation is, but it's not like I haven't been in situations where people think they don't need to learn anything else. Sometimes I find myself talking about the differences. I'll ask people about, I'll say something about the impact that they have. Like, wow, I just had a nephew who wanted to visit. And part of the requirements, because my wife is, her health is compromised during this pandemic, that when people come to the house to stay, that they're vaccinated and so on. So I had a nephew just really push back, who was against vaccination, right? And I found myself, and what I could see was that there was just a tremendous amount of misinformation that he was communicating, and so I just found myself asking him questions like, so tell me more about why this is difficult for you, and where are you getting your information, and here's what I saw. I think the biggest challenge with patients is to know that when we're activated in those moments, we almost need to take care of our own activation before we attempt to engage, right? So maybe patience is calling us to turn inward and soothe the activation before we then respond to the ignorance or to the person's point of view, right? Um, so the energy of impatience is something to take care of when you find yourself in those situations. And sometimes saying nothing is saying a lot, um, especially if um, the speaking is not grounded and it's loaded with um, harsh judgment. We probably want to put that in check a little bit. And also a comment here, struggling also with reactivity to hatred and ugliness. Yeah, the reactivity needs our attention. It needs our attention. And sometimes when we're in situations like that where we're triggered, um, there's almost a mindset in there that's basically saying, are expecting that the people that are pissing us off are actually going to be the one that soothes us and gives us what we need in those moments. So there's a certain distortion or delusion in the mind around where the relief might come from and what's the deepest relief that's needed. And is that even possible in this moment? Um, in the book that I wrote on Mindful of Race, there's a section in there on talking about what disturbs you. And the, the first third of the process is looking inward to see what's been activated explore the activation. Now, there are times when we just need to bring it, right? We need to say certain things. We don't have time to get it right. Not that there is a right. But when we have a compassion practice, when we have a practice of internal investigation where we're purifying our own ugliness, then I find for myself that the reactivity lessens. And it's kind of like somebody said to me somewhere, you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to, right? I also talk about it as I can bid or pass on this one because I know there's going to be another one that comes in the next moment, the next day. So it's really training the heart and mind to respond as opposed to react. And the way that we work that field is through a mindfulness practice where we are tending to ourselves with regularity so that the atmosphere is able to hold the ugliness and the insanity and the ignorance with a bit more grace. Okay, so I think we are at our time, and I'm again very thankful and grateful to be joining you and to I hope that this process was something that you can continue to practice on your own, create some version of it if you don't have that already. I think part of our work is to be in the regulating business of our own heart and mind, because it is this domain that is actually serving the people that we come in contact with. So we're really caring for a certain inner integrity and enriching a certain spiritual wealth so that when we're in our service, we are serving at every vibrational level wellness and care and respect for the nature of what life offers to us. So, thank you.